and they broke Matthew Tkachuk's sternum. Like,
Right.
we're not advocating for guys to get injured out there, but as
you
Brad
have
Marchand
Brad
said,
Marchand back in the back
like
of
Marchand really outed the league. Like, in terms of what everyone's looking to do, like the league was like
all of us standing there just looking at, I remember like hearing that in live time, and I was like, did he just like this is gonna blow up into ungodly proportions? Like
the newsworthiness bell went off in my head. I was like,
Yeah.
oh boy, like that's gonna be a headline everywhere. And welcome into the Bruins Beat, presented by Prize Picks. Go use that promo code CLNS to get up to $100 cash back on that first deposit. And we're presented by Game Time. Go use that promo code CLNS to get $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Lots of great concerts this summer. The Red Sox. Maybe you listen in a different part of the country and you got a team there you want to go see. Go use that promo code CLNS over at Game Time. I am Evan Marinofsky, joined today by Belle Fraser. Belle, what's up?
Nothing much. I'm so happy to be on. It's so hard since the season ended. I just miss it so much, honestly.
It is. The daily grind of it, it definitely, you miss it. And your Rangers are out too. I really did. Like, I fully believed they were going to make the cup. I'm not trying to rub it in either. Like, I did. I thought they were going to do it. Well, that's probably because you watch them a hell of a lot more than I do.
Game 4, I was like, yeah, it's over. Like, they're done.
And that just tied the series at 2, right? Like,
yeah, but it was like you're in overtime, about to go up 3-1, and you make that blatant of a turnover to let them win the game. It's like, all right, pack it up. Like,
yep, series is over. And that's what ended up, unfortunately for you, happening. And unfortunately for the country. I don't think anybody wants to see the Panthers pull this out. They're close, but just a little announcement. Belle got your first job after college at Mass Live. So congratulations.
Thank you.
A big hand.
Thanks, Evan.
You were graduated for about 25 seconds before you got picked up. So it was that quick. So
no, I'm excited.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It's
a big deal. That's a big deal. Everyone can relate to their first job after college. And that's the big thing. You're not going back to New York. You get to stay around here and in Boston, and it's what a world it is when you're an adult in Boston. It's so expensive. It's great.
The apartment has been a joy.
Oh, I can't imagine how bad that's been.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
The house I'm in now, I kind of hopped on, like, they're my buddies from college, and last minute they're like, hey, like, we're looking at houses, like, we need a fourth. Do you want to like do it? And I was like, yeah, sure. And the first house I went and saw with them is the one we picked. So it was perfect. Like, it ended up working out great, but I'm sure it'll work out great for you too. So this Bruins team, or this Panthers Oilers Stanley Cup, Panthers are up 3-0 as we record. I think it's over. I think the Oilers look dead. The fact they couldn't pull one out in Game 3 pretty much says it all for me. But I don't know. I've seen some other people tweet this, and I kind of think it, like, are the Bruins that far off from Florida? Gave them a fight in the second round. Obviously, Florida was the better team, but are the Bruins that far away from where the Panthers are?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's always nice, when you lose to a team in the playoffs to kind of, you don't want to see them win the national championship. Not the national championship. I was thinking of Denver.
You're thinking of Denver. I'm
like, because I had to watch that happen.
It's been a tough year for you. You've gone through a lot the past couple months.
Only losses, but you don't necessarily. You're not like rooting for them the rest of the playoffs. But it is almost a little bit validating if they're the ones to get it done. Where it's like, all right, they were going to win it all along. Like, you can't blame yourself too much. Like, whatever. And that's not how professional athletes actually think, but. I do think it is interesting that the Bruins almost gave them their most competitive series. Like, albeit the Rangers were up 2-1 in that series, but that could have been a sweep. Like, Igor Shesterkin completely kept them in. So storyline with the Bruins too is like Swayman and Igor kind of kept those teams afloat in those series. But I think the Panthers are just a level above the Bruins, no matter how close, quote unquote, that series was. I think when the Bruins look at what they need to do and the problems that they kind of faced in that second round, they didn't suddenly appear when they played the Panthers. Those were things in the regular season, extending a lead, top 6 contributions, scoring in general. And then, we'll talk about offseason moves, but, strength left side defense, like those things were always apparent and they weren't something that came out in the playoffs. So I think, yes, you faced a really good Panthers team, and evidently the best teams in the East haven't been able to handle them either. But at the same time, I don't think that kind of takes away from the issues that the Bruins had all regular season and bled into the playoffs. But I do think it's a valid point, and maybe it softens the blow a little, knowing, the President Trophy winners put up less of a fight than you did.
So, yeah, I think the Panthers are much better, at least now. I think the Panthers are the much better team. I thought that in the second round. I didn't have the Bruins winning that series. And, I mean, Bobrovsky's been outstanding. Like, he has just been insane. And then you've got, the two-headed monster with Barkov, and then you got the Verhaeghe line with, or not the Verhaeghe line, Bennett line with Tkachuk.
Yep.
For next season, though, I do think there are some interesting things to think about with the gap at least closing between the Bruins and Panthers. And again, this doesn't even take into account that the Lightning will be hungry to get back there, and the Maple Leafs could look a lot different. We haven't even seen them make a big move yet. But just specifically the Bruins and the Panthers, I mean, the Panthers have, gone to 2 straight Stanley Cup finals. We see what that does to teams in the sense that your offseason is much shortened. Guys get tired, it's not at the beginning of the season, but around like that February, March, April time, got, teams that go to 2 straight finals start to show a little bit of fatigue.
Yep.
And then you also have the other end of it, which is the Panthers should lose some big pieces this offseason. Montour is a UFA. Reinhart is a UFA. Yeah. Ekman Larson. Like, they've got a few guys there, and I don't know if you can keep them all. They'll somehow find a way. Like, I feel like they will totally somehow find a way to do it, and good for them. And then I think you coincide that with what the Bruins could end up doing. They have a ton of money. Like, they should fill some of those holes. Like you mentioned, they were, not great at scoring this year, and the power play wasn't great. I think those things are kind of fixable in the offseason with free agency. And I just wonder, like, is there, are they putting up a better fight next year? Like, if they got a guy like Elias Lindholm down the middle, is he able to better handle Florida's top 6? Is he able to shut down a Bennett line? I think that's your best bet. That's the thing. Like, you don't have many other options here. I think that's your best bet.
I don't think they're that far off. Like, it's not going to take a rebuild for the Bruins to be competitive, more than competitive against the Panthers. And I think what's interesting too is, like, obviously I covered the Bruins series against the Panthers and then painfully had to watch the Rangers series. But I think the Bruins, just in terms of identity and what you need to win in the playoffs right now, are a lot closer than even the Rangers. And just in terms of toughness and, like, historic, I mean, the Rangers, Mika Zibanejad, they were soft. Like, they were so soft the entire series. And I think the center position is going to change for the Bruins. Their lineup is going to change. But, Charlie Coyle was out there actually making hits, not like looking for calls instead of getting back and just trying to play defense. I think the Bruins are a little bit closer to that gritty do or die mentality, which has always been, no matter what era it is, that's been Bruins hockey. So I think that's in their favor, and that's kind of in their DNA. And it's proven. Like, everyone hates, the Bennett hits and when it's against your team and the edge Tkachuk plays with. But, like, that's what you need. And you've seen the refs this postseason. They're going to let them do it. Apparently, that's NHL playoff hockey right now. And, like, you either complain about it or you adapt and you adjust your team to kind of fit that build too, because you need someone to respond. And not to say the Bruins didn't respond. Pat Maroon was like, I'm not going to take a stupid penalty just to whatever. But you need to mirror that. You need that nastiness. And I think the Bruins can do that. You look at a guy like Trent Frederick, who maybe could have had a little more bite to him this postseason. And then we can talk about additions. But yeah, I think in terms of talent, the Bruins are going to have to make some moves. But I think just in terms of, I don't know, like an overall grinding identity, the Bruins are, I would say, closer. Who knows how the East comes out next year after everyone's seeing how Florida played. I think you always try to change your team to kind of reflect, whoever wins the Stanley Cup. But yeah, I don't think it's a far off thing for the Bruins, but I don't think if you come in the same way you did last year, anything's really going to change against a Florida team that, might look different and probably will, but you never know.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think the Bruins need to make additions. They do have some of that toughness though, and like I think the bottom six for the Bruins next year is set. You don't need another
I
bottom
love
six
it.
piece.
Yeah.
It's great. We don't need to cover any bottom six signings, which respect to those guys, but the Bruins have done a lot of that over the last couple of years. I think you're pretty much set with some of the guys in your bottom six.
It was hilarious. They had 12 forwards for the bottom six at some points this year. It's like, well, yeah, he would be a great middle guy, but who are you going to put up?
Well, that's the thing, and it's people want what do you do with Danton Heinen? What do you do with James Van Riemsdyk? And it's like, well, you thank them for their contributions and you move on. You've got enough guys down there, and Danton Heinen's probably going to get paid this offseason, relatively speaking, as he should. We're all pro getting the bag podcast, so want those guys to get paid, but I just not with you. Not with you. You've got enough. You've got enough. You don't need another. And I get Heinen, slots in different places in the lineup better than others can. But you're good with Frederick and Geeky and Brazeau and Lauko and Beecher. And if you re-sign Maroon, you're good.
Yeah, you've got your group to choose from for sure.
It's time to upgrade the top six, which I want to get to in a second. But first, quick word from our friends over at Prize Picks.
The finals are right around the corner, and it's time for you to get in on the playoff action and win up to 100 times your cash on Prize Picks as you and the world's best players take the game to a new level with the title on the line. With Prize Picks, you can turn $10 into $1,000 in a single game watching your favorite sports this summer. With Prize Picks, you could turn $10 into $1,000 in a single game watching your favorite sports this summer. You can make a Prize Picks lineup in as little as 60 seconds. You just need to pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat predictions, and you're locked in. Prize Picks is America's #1 fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. Get on the daily action with your friends and become part of the Prize Picks community today. The finals mean more on Prize Picks, and so do the star players. You get boosted payouts on select basketball stars that you won't find anywhere else. Quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, and a huge selection of players and stat types are what makes Prize Picks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. And with the Celtics season still in full swing, there's plenty of opportunity to participate in Prize Picks. This week on Prize Picks, I'm selecting Jaylen Brown for more than 25 points and Derek White for more than 7 assists. So download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS for a first deposit match of up to $100. Again, use code CLNS for a first deposit match of up to $100. Prize Picks. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy. Now, let's get back to the show.
I feel like I could recite the Prize Picks ad right now. It's playing, and I'm I know exactly what Connor's going to say next.
Yeah, I agree with you. I feel the same way. I hear it. I know it. It's in my head at this point. I'll hear it in my sleep. It's just so pick more, pick less. It's that easy. It's great. Yeah, those ads stick in your head like a song. Yeah. You mentioned an interesting point about the Panthers, and I'll see people complaining on Twitter about some of the things the Panthers are doing, and I get it. Bennett choking someone out. I think that was him the other night.
Not great.
Not great. No, not maybe not the best thing you could do.
Yeah.
But they're getting away with it. That's my thing is if you're getting away with it, why not also do that? You know what I mean? The Vegas Golden Knights figured this out last year. And they broke Matthew Tkachuk's sternum. Right. We're not advocating for guys to get injured out there, but
you have Brad Marchand back in the back of
Marchand really outed the league. In terms of what everyone's looking to do, the league was
all of us standing there just looking at, I remember hearing that in live time, and I was like, did he just this is gonna blow up into ungodly proportions.
The newsworthiness bell went off in my head. I was like, oh boy, that's gonna be a headline everywhere. But he's right. He's not wrong. You are trying to do that. You're not trying to be like Matt Cook and take a skate to Erik Karlsson's Achilles.
Right.
But you are who is it? Who was the big defenseman? Nikola something on the Panthers, a 77. I'm blanking on his last name. Mikula. I almost said Jokic, but Mikula. Nikola Jokic, just so physical out there. But Mikula went at Filip Chytil late in the game. And people were like, oh, this is ridiculous. Filip Chytil has a history of concussions. And it's well, yeah, he does.
That's the point.
That's the point. I'm sorry. It's the playoffs, man. That's going to happen. And is it is it the best thing? No, but it's playoff hockey. And again, we're not I guess it does sound like we're advocating for guys to get injured. but it's part of the game. It's part of playoffs.
And
And
it's
I just,
part of the Panthers system too, and what has allowed them to throw every single team off of their game. And it's
100%.
funny, like you look at the last three. I feel like the first round. I don't even remember the first round anymore. That feels like 10 years ago. But like,
I
you
don't
look
either.
at least their last two series, and they mirrored each other exactly. I was like, I feel like I'm watching the Bruins Panthers series all over again. The Rangers have 5 shots on goal by the midway point of the second period. They're getting pushed out of the offensive zone. Panthers are commanding center ice. Their forecheck is the same as it was. Like, and they get in your head. Like, Mika Zibanejad can't break the puck out. The Rangers' best players were their bottom 6, arguably the same with the Bruins in the second round. So it's like, they take the same formula of, being a talented, skilled hockey team, but also they're not afraid to just like shove the top paid player on your team. David Pastrnak didn't have a 5-on-5 goal.
Nope.
The Oilers power play has barely scored. Like, they don't give the respect to the league's top players that, maybe some are like, oh, maybe I shouldn't hit McDavid. Maybe I should like give Pasta his space, but they don't. And it could be dirty. It could be not, but like it disrupts the way these teams are able to recollect themselves and go out and play. And evidently it's worked. I'm bearing a miracle. They're about to hoist the cup in like 5 days.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's over. I think it's done. But every time I say series is over, it's not. So I think that's a bad thing for the
fans are thanking you right now.
Yeah, they're like, oh, thank God, Evan's saying that we're done. Yeah, you got to match it. You've got to find a way to match it. And I don't think the Bruins are far off from doing it. I mean, they have some guys who can do that.
Yeah.
And I think the Panthers are a fascinating team. And I wonder how long you can last playing like that, because that can wear you down. Like that's taxing. It's a taxing way to play. You look at just their penalty kill. I mean, they're up top quick, then they're down low quick.
It's unreal.
They're everywhere. And so I think it's interesting. Like when you look at what the Bruins could do this offseason, they have roughly $22 million in cap space. If you trade Linus Ullmark, goes up to about 27. And going into the offseason, I was very much in favor of put Zacha on the left side as a winger and go with Lindholm and Coyle. Elias Lindholm. We got to mention that we can't say Lindholm anymore. We got to say Elias Lindholm. And Charlie Coyle down the middle. And your third line can be either Patra or Geeky down the middle. And, in that situation, I assume DeBrusk is gone. So you'd have to go out and sign another winger. And then you probably have some money left over to sign like a Brendan Dillon for $4 million on the side on D. But the more I look at it, I don't know. I think Lindholm, Zacha, Coyle down the middle is intriguing. Because Lindholm, Zacha, Coyle down the middle makes you deeper down the middle. And you'd probably have to go out and sign 2 wings. So you like, I was doing the math on this as I was watching the game last night. Like in that second scenario I just mentioned, like let's say you give Lindholm $8 million, because we're going to assume that he's going to double. He's going to make more than 7 for sure. And then let's say you go out and get Anthony Duclair and Tyler Toffoli. Duclair for $4.5 million.
I think Duclair would be a great addition.
I think he fits exactly what they're trying to do.
Yep, 100%.
I think he'd be great. And I think you need a guy like that. And then, Toffoli, $5 million goal scorer. I'm guessing he's making somewhere around that. And so that plus Swayman, I put Swayman at $7.5 million, puts you, I think, at like $25 million or so. And this is assuming Ullmark is traded, which like better happen.
You figured it out, Evan. Send it over
to
the front office.
I did it. I sent this over.
Plan.
I said, Dawn, this is what you got to do. I figured it out. Screw the advanced analytics. We're doing this.
I got my cap friendly up for the meantime.
Not much longer, unfortunately. I like how they're like, we're taking cap friendly away from everybody, and then Puckpedia and other websites just exist as well. Like they're just gonna do the same thing. But I guess we're pro getting the bag, so those cap friendly guys must have got the bag for that website. But that scenario I just mentioned, you score more. Now, defensively, like Wotherspoon is your third pairing defenseman, which I think you can get by with. I'm not that's not my favorite thing. I'd still rather like a guy like Brendan Dillon. And that's also hinging on Lowry fitting in as an everyday NHLer, which again, he was great in the playoffs, but we really won't know yet until games are played next year if he's going to be an everyday guy as a top pairing defenseman. That second one's growing on me a little bit. Forcing yourself to sign 2 scoring wingers, Lindholm, like, I don't know. I think that gives you a big boost.
No, I completely agree. I also like the DeBrusk thing will be really interesting because it sounds like the Bruins gave him an offer and he didn't want it, just based on, breakout day and what Sweeney said. He was like, listen, it's a two-way street. Like, we're not just like closing the door for Jake DeBrusk in Boston. Like he said, like, we'd love to have Jake DeBrusk be a Boston Bruin, but I think DeBrusk values himself a bit higher, and he had a good playoffs. But I do think for the Bruins, is it guaranteed he's going to come in and have a great season? Like, that was the whole conversation last year. Can he come in and score 30 goals? And like, okay, you said he broke his hand, whatever, all that comes out, blah, blah, blah. But I don't know. I think you also might want a new look. And I think Jake DeBrusk needs a new environment, honestly. And maybe he doesn't fully think that. And like, Jake DeBrusk, who he is as a player. He gets the system. But I think having two fresh new looks in the top six on the wing would do wonders for the Bruins. And, Montgomery switched up the lineup more than almost any other coach in the NHL during the regular season, during the playoffs. But at some point, it's like, it's not the combinations, it's just the personnel. And that's no disrespect to the guys that the Bruins had. Morgan Geekie stepped up as a number one, number two for stretches at a time down the middle. But I think at some point, you literally just need the firepower, and you need a boost of energy. Like, I think someone like Duclair, not to just focus in on him, but he has that spark to him. He's not just a goal scorer. He has some snarl. Like, he was Matthew Tkachuk 2.0 last year, like he was great on the Panthers. And I think when you're talking about that type of player, like, kind of smart to pull someone who's been in that system, been in that room. But yeah, and I think defensively too, like, I love what Parker Wotherspoon did this season. It was a great, story. And he also just played well. Like, he was not blatantly bad. He filled a hole, but I also,
blatantly bad.
Like, it could have been a lot worse.
Yes, I know what you mean.
And
he didn't fucking suck. He just kind of sucked.
He was great. Like, he never did. Like, he always was what they needed him to be. But at the same time, I don't know if you want, like, that's not depth for your back end, like, no, it's not. I would feel much. I don't know who the seventh defenseman is. Wotherspoon be a seventh defenseman and go in when he needs to and whatever. And I wonder what his offseason looks like, kind of knowing that he could be up to the role, to the call. But I don't know. I think the Bruins back, and I'm a little less worried about, because even when they were playing with 3.5, 4 defensemen in December and other points of the season, it was kind of not a non-issue, but they did their job, and luckily you had Swayman. Like, I would rather know that the Bruins are going to score 4 to 5 goals a night. That maybe that's high, but
3 to 5.
Yeah, 3 to 4. I think that would round it out more, because like, you look at, again, their last series, it wasn't like the Panthers, other than like 1 or 2 games, were scoring more than 2 goals a night, and like, that was Jeremy Swayman. But at the same time, like, that was partially, you would hope, a product of your defense.
Well, yeah, I agree.
Yeah. And I think the Lohrei thing's interesting too. Like, do you want to just give him the first pair? Like, he did earn his stripes this season, and he proved that he can play at the NHL level. But like, do you want to give a second-year defenseman just like, yep, like, silver platter, here's the first, first pair minutes and power play. And I think he should get power play time, even if he's not first pair. But I think developmentally
works. That's a word.
It is like, I think that's something you have to think about too. Like, maybe Lohrei still just needs some room to like make mistakes and not be the next Charlie McAvoy, So I don't know. I agree with your plan. I would focus on wingers and obviously the center position. But I think if the Bruins can squeeze anything on the left side, it's only going to make them better. So, it wouldn't hurt them. And you got to get rid of Ullmark. Sorry.
Well, yes, you're right. And that's why I don't think they do my plan. I don't think they do that. I think they go replace DeBrusk with a wing, put Zacha on the wing, get Lindholm, and get a left shot veteran
defenseman. Safer. And
it's a much safer
Bruins fans and like the media, like, if they don't address the left side defense, like, that's going to be the first article at training camp or whatever this summer. It's like, Bruins ignore like glaring issue, and like, how is it going to affect them in the regular season? So like, they're going to do their checklist, which I think is responsible. But for a fun podcast topic, I do think it would be interesting if they just, front loaded.
Yeah, I think it would help them. I think it would really help them. I I don't think they do that. And you also have to consider if Ullmark's gone, you don't have the goalie tandem. So Swayman's playing a lot more. You'd ideally like to be better defensively in front of him.
Yeah.
I think that's also why they probably bolster the left side on defense.
That's a great point. That didn't even cross my mind.
It's so early in the morning. Even though
it's true though. Like, I mean, Swayman proved he could play 12 games in a row, but who knows, 60?
Can he play 82? Can he play 82 games in a row?
Like,
I mean, seriously.
Yeah. And the waiver thing's interesting with Bussy too. Because they can't. They can't. Yeah.
No, because the team would pick him up in 2 seconds.
Exactly.
Pick him up in 2 seconds. One more little thing I want to get to. There's a team in the top 10 in the NHL draft that is looking to trade their pick. I want to get to that in a second, but first, quick word from our friends over at Game Time.
The NBA Finals are right around the corner, and if you're a Celtics fan, odds are that TD Garden is going to be packed in June as the Celtics go for Banner 18. And if you want to cheer on the C's inside the Garden, you got to go with Game Time tickets. Game Time is an authorized ticket marketplace that makes getting NBA Finals tickets even faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to tip-off. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets. And the best part about Game Time tickets, you can browse through the Game Time app to find great seats at affordable prices for all sorts of in-demand games, concerts, and other events. Want to snag last-minute tickets to a concert? Game Time Tickets has you covered. Maybe a Sunday matinee game at Fenway Park, or one of those spur-of-the-moment Friday night games watching the Sox. And with the Patriots and Bruins season set to get started later on in the fall, you can't go wrong with going to the Game Time app to find tickets ahead of time. It's really that easy, the action. And with flash deals and zone deals available, you can make it to some of the most in-demand games at the last second. With these last-minute deals, you can save up to 60% off buying seats for sporting events, concerts, comedy, theater shows, and a whole lot more. Some of my favorite features of the app include seat views, where you can get a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy, and the lowest price guarantee, or else Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. So what are you waiting for? Take the guesswork out of buying NBA Finals tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Download Game Time today. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Now, let's get back to the show.
Just one last thing on DeBrusk. I completely see it. I get what you're saying about him, because I agree. He's so inconsistent, and we've complained about it for years. I do wonder, though, with a guy like him, I do think the devil you know is better than the devil you don't in this case, just because wingers can be hard to bring in. Now, Duclair and Toffoli seem like pretty sure bets. Duclair's play style is worth the money in general, and Toffoli has no problem scoring a bunch of goals, which is what you need. But DeBrusk does give you the defensive element, can kill penalties. Is that worth more than $6.25 million? Probably not. I think that's where the Bruins are kind of, putting their foot down. But I agree. I think he also probably needs a change of scenery for sure.
Well, I think the price will dictate how much sense it makes for the Bruins too. But I think it's like this league, the windows are shorter than they've ever been to have success. And, it's always the risk of letting a guy walk or sign somewhere else. And then, he's going to go score 40 goals next season. I've watched it happen over and over again where you switch teams and sometimes it just, jump starts you. And that could very well happen with DeBrusk, but how long are the Bruins going to stand pat and wait for something to click with him? And that's why I would never want to be the one making the decisions. I don't know how long you wait,
That's fair.
I'm not saying I have an answer, but I do think there is something to say. I don't know how much more leash or, grace the Bruins can give DeBrusk to figure it out. But at the same time, you're right. He's not just a winger. He had to be better, had to have a two-way game this year, had to be good on the penalty kill just to be of value when he wasn't scoring. And that is big. So, I don't think the Bruins are collapsing if they keep DeBrusk, if they lose him. But it will change, obviously, the look of their top six tremendously. It will.
But I again, if a team gives him $6.57 million, it's all right, well, see ya. That's pretty simple. Yeah. Pretty simple as that. Exactly. Go with the bag, dude. I'm fine with that. Yeah. The Ottawa Senators came out a couple days ago and mentioned they'd be open to trading the number 7 pick. Senators are in a weird spot where they do have some current older guys who are
Mhm.
looking for a cup, like Claude Giroux, who I always forget is on the Senators.
I know. It is funny.
Wild move to go there. But they also have a lot of young pieces. And you wonder if they're going to try to bridge that gap. Now, they have been interested in Linus Ullmark in the past. There was that Ottawa Sun story that had, the package for Ullmark being like Chikrin of the 7th
Yeah.
overall pick and another first. Like, all right, well, I would do that like yesterday.
Yep, do
I think
it.
I'll go to Ottawa and pick up those draft picks and bring
No,
them back.
literally.
That's what the trade that's what the trade is. But realistically, could Ullmark go for the number 7 pick? Sure. Like, I don't doubt that Ottawa is desperate enough to do that.
Does Ullmark want to go to Ottawa?
I don't think Ullmark goes to Ottawa. Like, New Jersey, Carolina, I think you have a much better chance. Like, that number 10 pick with New Jersey, I think that's the sweet spot. Is he going to Ottawa? Like, no, probably not.
And like, as much as every team is saying our goal is to win the Stanley Cup, that's why you come in the season. Ottawa, I don't know. Maybe watch me eat my words next year and they're going to have an insane season. But
I've been saying it for the past couple of years with Ottawa and Detroit or in Buffalo. This is their year. They're going to, they're going to push for the playoffs and then they don't. And then they don't.
I was on the Detroit
I'll believe
wagon and made a fool of myself.
You were a believer in the Yzer plan. That's what you were.
I was. But I think for Ullmark, it's like, he's not old, but he wants to be competitive. And like, you see it within his play with the Bruins. He's happy for Swayman, but like, he's chomping at the bits to get out there. I can't imagine how hard it was to watch that whole run and not play, like, he always is very balanced about it. He's like, Swayman's my guy. Like, all I want to see is him succeed. But like, I'm also a professional NHL athlete who's getting paid to be here and who like wants to make a difference. And I think for him, he wants to be successful immediately. Like, he wants to be in a winning culture. And I don't know if Ottawa's the exact place for him, and not just that, just like where it is too. When you look at theoretically what's on his list, you would assume Ottawa would probably be on it. And so
I can't imagine Ottawa is a destination. And you have to consider, like, and I've said this a couple of times, he's up for a new contract after next year. He's going to want to be.
He needs to have a good season.
Yeah. And I don't think you're getting that in Ottawa. I just don't. No. I said this to Connor yesterday on Poke the Bear. Like, when was the last time a goalie had a great season in Ottawa? I honestly can't remember. Like, was it Craig Anderson?
It's likely the last big contract of his career. Like, it's actually a really big year for him. Yeah. I think New Jersey makes the most sense. And like, okay, 7 or 10, like the Bruins have a 4th, 5th, and 6th round pick. Like, if you can get into the first 3 rounds, like, take it. I don't care if it's like 3 apart.
Take what you can get.
Yeah.
You take what you can get. And I've said this all offseason. I think Lindholm is your, number 1 center of the, next couple of years. I think you go for your franchise number 1 center with a pick like that, with the number 10 pick, or if you somehow get the number 7 pick. That's how, in the first round, that's how you get those guys. And you see it like, Wyatt Johnson with the Stars and David Pastrnak. Like, you can, it's not guaranteed. It's not guaranteed if you're picking in the top 10 either. But even if you just get a first round pick, you can stumble upon a really high-end guy. I mean, every guy who is considered for the first round is a high-end player. Those are high-end franchise caliber players. And whether, they're considered for, you have that Trevor Connolly kid from Providence who obviously has, some past issues that, people can go read the Athletic story. He's nasty though. He's freaking nasty. And so like, he's going to fall. And I'm not saying pick him because he's a winger. So I think you need a center. But even like a team, like, the Athletic keeps doing those mock drafts, and like a team like the Dallas Stars, who are picking like 29th, could stumble upon a high-end player like Trevor Connolly.
Yeah.
So I think they got to get back in the first round. No doubt about that. I just don't think the Senators' number 7 pick is going to be.
No. And I think too, like, just when you trade for a draft pick, it's like, oh, if we're giving up Ullmark, we need something that's going to help us immediately. And it's like, I think that's also a product of Lindholm.
That's cap space.
Yeah, that's cap space. And it's also just who's a free agent this summer. Like, Lindholm makes the most sense for the Bruins right now, but he's not a perfect fit. Like, he's not. But that's fine. Like, and I think that's kind of the frustrating part where you're not going to get the perfect player who's going to fix all the Bruins' problems in the draft right now or in free agency, but you're going to get someone who pushes them a little bit further. And I think, the draft, it's hard because you're like, oh, we're not going to see this kid for what, like 2 to 4 years. But you need someone new. And no disrespect to the AHL and the system in Providence, but like Beecher and Lori were great. But you look at the depth there, and it's like you need someone young to be excited about, to feel, like we have this coming up. And I think that's what the Bruins need to do. And, a Macklin Celebrini, watch him drop to 10. Like,
oh, maybe it could happen. It could happen. He's like, I'm only going to play for the Bruins.
He's like,
I'm only going to do this.
You, T. Anthony's, El Jefes.
Jay Pandolfo calling my name. I need it. I can't be anywhere else. Yeah. I mean, I think the San Jose Nate, or the kid whose dad works in San Jose, he's not going to want to go there. He's going to want to go elsewhere. Do you think he leaves BU?
It's so funny because, like, on 32 Thoughts, Elliot and Jeff have opened like the last 3 episodes debating if Macklin's going to stay or not. And the whole BU student media were like, welcome to our brains. Like the past like year, like now everyone's like, yeah, this is like the carousel. Like, does he, whatever. His quotes, I think he's being responsible about it. But you look at just like even the media circus the last week, like going to the games, meeting Gretzky, meeting McDavid. Like, how do you go back to like 10-19 Com Ave after that? Like, I don't know. I think once you get a taste of it and you get the excitement, and like, not that to say he's going to go for the publicity, but like you're in it, like you are wanted. I don't know. I think it's hard, but I do think beyond, the optics of it, any 17-year-old could use another year of development. Like, oh God, yeah. No matter how good you are. So I'm not going to write it off. I obviously think the odds are that he leaves, but I don't think it's as obvious maybe as like other number 1 picks. I don't know. Well,
so this is the thing. Any other guy, like a Jack Eichel, for instance, 100% chance he was leaving. Yeah. And a lot of those like number 1 picks or Hobie Baker guys as freshmen, you typically expect to leave. Like Will Smith, I was like, all right, he's gone. Yeah. I was surprised it took him as long as it did. But with Celebrini, I still give like a 10% chance that there's like a maybe he stays, mainly because he's 17. And like we had Jay Pandolfo on the and Yzerman. They are best friends. And so like maybe you stick around for that. His brother's on the team. Like he'll be 18 next year. And so like
they didn't win a single trophy his freshman year. Like
well, he did win the Hobie Baker, but yeah, team trophy. Yeah. This is true. No no Hockey East championship.
Regular
nothing.
Season. Yeah, it was just like
nothing.
The best roster to never win a thing.
And that's the thing. And so I just wonder if there is that desire to come back. And you have to consider his dad is very smart. He's a sport, he with the Golden State Warriors, he understands athletes. So like, I don't know. It wouldn't shock me if he came back, but I do think if I was betting on it, I think he's gone. But there's that little part of me that holds out hope because it'd be really cool.
There has to be. The college hockey fans in us, it's like you can't tell yourself that he's going to be gone.
Exactly. We need it. Even though I think BU will still be all right without him next year. Belle, what can the people look forward to from you? When do you start? What's the latest?
Start June 24th. So I'm ready. It's so weird having time off. I'm like, I'm so uncomfortable. Like I need to get back to work.
you have like 3 weeks and you're like, I can't do this. I can't do it.
Crazy. So, I mean, you can follow me on Twitter, Belle Fraser 1. I'll have updates there, but Mass Live is expanding its coverage of high school sports into Boston, and I'm going to be on that team. Be a lot of hockey in the winter, but I'll kind of be all over the place this fall. So yeah, follow along there. And excited for the new chapter. That's basically it for now.
Well, congratulations. People should look out for that. I'm sure I'll see you at different rinks all over the winter, which should be fun.
I know. I was thinking about that. I was like, now Evan and I will like fully be at the same places all the time.
Well, that's the thing, and it won't be like a nice press box. It'll be up along the glass in Arlington, which is honestly better. I like it. I honestly I like freezing and catching colds because I'm so cold. It's fun. It's the best.
Yeah.
Reminds me of when I was playing hockey as a little kid. Anyways, Belle, thank you for joining. And that's been this week's Bruins Beat. I'm Evan Marinofsky. You Bruins Beat listeners, have a great rest of your week.